Look, Piers, first things first, I know President Trump, and I can tell you, hand on heart, I'll put a hand on a Bible if you want, there is not a racist molecule in that man's body.
That's Sebastian Gorka. He is both a former and current member of the Trump administration. From White House aide to a member of the National Security Education Board, here's how one man with alleged close ties to a pro-Nazi group went from being fired by the FBI for his Islamophobic rhetoric to having the former steak salesman's ear for a second time. I'm comedian Shalewa Sharpe, and this is the story of how one man's failure in Hungary launched him to success in America. Sebastian Gorka was born in 1970 in London to Hungarian parents. His father, Paul, according to one of Gorka's books, at age 15, fought with a submachine gun through the ruins of the Hungarian capital. NBC News notes that Gorka didn't specify which side his father fought on, Soviet or Nazi, but a large part of Paul Gorka's life thereafter was dedicated to fighting against the former. Gorka's father joined Hungary's clandestine anti-Soviet resistance. He was caught and tortured, but during the failed revolution of 1956, he broke free and fled the country to start a family in London. Gorka's father received a Vitez Medal for his resistance to the Soviet Union, a medal with deep ties to Nazis. In short, Vitez Rend was an organization founded by Hungarian ruler Miklos Horthy, who once said, "I have always been an anti-Semite throughout my life." During World War II, the U.S. State Department listed Vitezi Rend among a group of organizations under the direction of the Nazi government of Germany. Historians have claimed Vitezi Rend helped Nazis deport and kill Hungarian Jews. Gorka himself would later wear his father's medal to Trump's inauguration for all to see, and his affiliation goes much deeper than just an accessory. According to members of Vitezi Rend, Gorka took a lifelong oath of loyalty to the group. Forward notes, the group to which Gorka reportedly belongs is a reconstitution of the original group on the State Department list, which was banned in Hungary until the fall of communism in 1989. Members of the group adopt a lowercase v as a middle initial. There are multiple records of Gorka spelling his name with the inclusion of the v. However, Gorka denies being a member or swearing an oath and chalks all this up to simply honoring his late father, who had ties to Nazis. His mother Susan worked as a translator for David Irving, a noted yet discredited British historian who claimed the Holocaust never happened, or it was at least way overblown. He was eventually sentenced to 3 years in prison in Austria on charges of denying the Holocaust. Gorka attended Haythrop College at the University of London, where he joined the British Territorial Army, a volunteer reservist unit. After graduating, Gorka moved to his parents' homeland of Hungary in the early 90s. From 1993 to 1998, he worked as a low-level staffer at the Defense Ministry while studying for a master's. He eventually worked as an advisor to Hungarian leader and right-wing nationalist Viktor Orban, who John McCain once called a
neo-fascist dictator.
The attacks on September 11th, 2001, radicalized Gorka into the bombastic and garish official he is today. Take this recent anecdote from the Washington Post, where Gorka spoke to a crowd of Trump supporters 3 days after Trump won the election. He moved through the crowd of people who had paid up to $1,500 to hear him speak. "We are happy, right? We are happy," he said. There were nods and quiet applause as Gorka fished around in the pocket of his yellow blazer, searching for his remote. "I am going to show a picture I am not meant to show usually," he said. He paused to draw out the suspense before pressing the remote's button. Up popped a photograph of a dead, bloodied, brown-skinned man lying on the ground next to an AK-47 assault rifle. The audience began to cheer, first hesitantly and then with gusto. Gorka's booming voice filled the room. "We can win now," he thundered. "We can win." But let's take a moment to jump back into Gorka's time in Hungary. He began popping up on Hungarian TV as a minor pundit. He was labeled as a counterterrorism expert with little evidence to back that up. In 2002, he tried to work on a parliamentary committee investigating the prime minister, but he was denied security clearance under the assumption he was working as a British spy. Perhaps Gorka shouldn't have falsely and frequently claimed, according to some accounts, to have worked for MI6, the James Bond stuff. There is no evidence to support Gorka's claim of being James Bond. However, there is a trove of evidence suggesting Gorka is a Bond villain. In 2006, Gorka tried to run for mayor of a small town in Hungary, but lost. The next year, he helped found a radical right-wing party called the New Democratic Coalition. Two of its three founding members had been heavy hitters in an openly anti-Semitic party called Jobbik. During a televised interview in 2007, when speaking on behalf of his new political party, Gorka acknowledged his support for a plan to create a paramilitary militia.
Önök azt nyilatkozták, hogy a Fidesz-Jobbik kezdeményezést támogat.
But this political endeavor was also short-lived. The party didn't last. After several consecutive failures, Gorka needed something to show for. So he got his PhD from Corvinus University in Budapest. But even that came with caveats. The school has been widely criticized for its many faults. A scholar at Georgetown University who reviewed Gorka's dissertation told Rolling Stone he might as well have mail-ordered his PhD. Two of the three people who served as endorsers of Gorka's PhD did not have any academic credentials at all. And the one who did was a right-wing politician in Hungary and a Gorka family friend who once suggested putting pig heads atop the Hungarian border to send a message to Muslim refugees. A professor at the University of North Carolina who studied Gorka's past wrote, Gorka's thesis is about as legitimate as if he had been awarded it by Trump University. And an advisor on Gorka's dissertation on terrorism went after Gorka himself.
Sebastian is knowledgeable. I would not call him an expert on terrorism.
Failing to make a name for himself in Hungary, Gorka moved somewhere with apparently lower standards. In 2008, Gorka moved to the United States and later worked as an adjunct professor of U.S. national security and foreign policy at Georgetown University. God knows what he was teaching there. In 2014, Gorka went to work for Breitbart, the far-right publication, as their national securities editor. He wrote many articles for the site, which was run at the time by Steve Bannon. One of Gorka's articles with the headline, Muslim Brotherhood Overruns National Cathedral in D.C., was wildly untrue, according to Rolling Stone. It wasn't the Muslim Brotherhood at all, and no one overran anything. Despite his characteristic hyperventilation, the event in question was a dignified, interfaith prayer service organized jointly by the leaders of the Washington National Cathedral and 5 mainstream Muslim organizations seeking to unite voices of moderation. He also wrote several articles in support of NYPD's highly controversial unit, which spied on Muslims in the United States. Al Jazeera notes police built databases showing where Muslims live, where they buy groceries, what internet cafes they use, and where they watch sport. Informants, whom they called mosque crawlers, were used to attend religious services and then report back. In one Breitbart article, Gorka argued that NYPD's Muslim surveillance program should not be a victim of political correctness. The program, of course, by NYPD's own admission, did not turn up one intelligence lead. In the midst of his Breitbart stint, Gorka worked for the FBI, giving speeches to bureau employees on counterterrorism issues. In one of his speeches, according to the Daily Beast, Gorka said that all Muslims adhere to Sharia law, which he said is in conflict with the U.S. Constitution and American democratic values. Officials familiar with his lecture said Gorka taught law enforcement officials there is no such thing as mainstream Muslims, only those radicalized and those soon to be radicalized. The FBI cut ties with Gorka for his Islamophobic rhetoric, and it was looking like he was just as lost as he was in Hungary. But when Trump took 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Gorka was tapped as a deputy assistant to the president. There was one big problem, though. He didn't have any security clearance, meaning he couldn't attend any meetings. One former Obama administration official told BuzzFeed News, without that clearance, he's not allowed to sit in the real meetings or review intelligence. I am told he basically sits in the White House canteen drinking coffee between Fox News live hits. That's exactly what he did. He'd go on TV seemingly every night and defend his boss.
It's only weird to journalists like yourself who are biased.
But in August of 2017, Gorka resigned from his post. Of course, Trump's ego-driven White House denied the claim that Gorka resigned, but didn't offer any further information as to what happened. 3 years and hundreds of Gorka radio shows later, and he's back in the White House, working as a member of the National Security Education Board. For a second time, the controversial figure with the Islamophobic views, alleged close ties to a pro-Nazi group, and a penchant for a police state has the president's ear, if he has security clearance.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Hey, thanks for watching Who Is? Did you know we have a podcast now too? On Who Is, the podcast, I'll dive deep into the fascinating lives of the people who run things, whose decisions impact every aspect of our lives. How did they get where they are today? And knowing that, what might they do next? From politicians to the ultra-rich, to military contractors and monarchs and media moguls, I'll introduce you to the reporters and experts who know these real-life world molders best. Sharp-eyed observers and confidants who observe our subjects as they make the decisions that define our everyday lives. To see more, hit the link or search Who Is on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. And for more of the video series you know and love, be sure to check out the Snapchat versions and our series playlists on YouTube and Facebook.